Hello and welcome to Tech for Non-Techies, the only podcast that demystifies the fast-growing technology sector. I'm your host, Sophia Matveeva, Chicago Brief MBA and tech entrepreneur. My aim here is to give you the skills, knowledge and confidence to find opportunities in the tech sector, whether that's through founding a company, getting a dream job, or bringing a fresh perspective to your work.
Hello, smart people. How are you today? Are you enjoying the summer? I am in London and it is sunny today. Yay! So I'm going to spend part of my day by the pool on a rooftop. But before I do that, I want to teach you some stuff. One of my favorite summer highlights is the Cannes Lions Festival of Creativity, which is an annual week-long event held in the French Riviera, which, as you know, I love and I have spent time living in. So Cannes Lions is basically like the Oscars of the advertising industry. If the Cannes Film Festival is about artistic creativity without the commercial imperative, Cannes Lions, which takes place a month later, is all about artistic creativity and making money, which are things that I like. And Cannes Lions draws an interesting crowd. So obviously the CEOs of the largest advertising companies are there and the chief marketing officers of big brand holdings like Unilever. But also, who makes money via ads? Facebook takes up a whole beach in Cannes. One year Snapchat had a branded Ferris wheel. Twitter had a beach. Anyway, you get my point. And who likes to get brand endorsements? Celebrities do. So Kim Kardashian turns up and a whole host of interesting artists. This year and last year, due to the friggin' pandemic, it got cancelled. Or rather, it went online, which honestly is not the same thing. I mean, I got a lot done on Zoom this year, but it is not the same as drinking rosé on a yacht in the French Riviera. A few years ago, I was at the Cannes Lions and I was feeling sorry for myself. My first company, a fashion tech business called Enti, it was growing, but not at the speed that I wanted. Our product metrics were good though, so people who used the product repeatedly kept on using it and our app became part of our users' weekly routine. But despite a loyal user base, growth was slower than I wanted. So I turned up at one of the world's most glamorous events, full of insecurity, thinking that everyone else has it figured out and I am just an idiot in a cocktail dress. This was until Wycliffe's wise words woke me up. There was a lunch at Cannes Lions where there was a discussion by music industry execs, and Wycliffe was one of the speakers along with his manager. And yes, this is Wycliffe from the Fugees, international megastar, and actually a very smart man. Since we were at an event all about marketing and advertising, Wycliffe was talking about the marketing process for his songs. Literally, what marketing prep do they have to do? How do they think about budgets? And how does his team and his manager, how do they think about PR? And what I gathered from the discussion was that unless you put in some serious marketing effort behind a song, even if you're as famous as Wycliffe, it won't do as well as when you put effort, money and thought behind promotion. So that made me feel better. And the urge to sob into my lobster subsided. I thought, if Wycliffe has to make an effort to do marketing, I don't mind if I have to do it too. But marketing takes on a different twist in tech companies. And this is what I want to talk to you about today. Today, we are going to learn about growth hacking. Basically, growth hacking is a type of marketing that combines working on the product, so working on the app or working on the site, which is an inside job, and working on promotion, which is an outside job. Growth hackers figure out what the most loved features of a product are, and once they do, they come up with ways for people to find out about this amazing feature. They also work with the product team to make sure that the feature is discoverable in the product straight away. To illustrate this, I'm going to share a famous case study with you. The Dropbox case study of growth hacking is generally seen as the Holy Grail in the industry, and Sean Ellis writes about it extensively in his book, Hacking Growth, which I highly recommend you read if you're into this sort of thing. For those of you who don't know Dropbox, it's a company that allows you to store files in the cloud. For example, if you have videos or if you have lots of high-res photos, your computer might not have the disk space for them. So you might decide to store them on Dropbox. You will have to pay Dropbox money for the privilege. The company was started by technical founders, and it was essentially a tech company without much expertise in the art of persuasion. Like many startups, they didn't have a ton of cash and they couldn't spend much money on advertising. So they did something else. But before I tell you about what actions they took, I want to impress you with their results. In 2010, Dropbox doubled its user base every 3 months. Users sent out 2.8 million invites in April 2010 alone. That's in 1 month. And now this is the big one. The company grew by 3,900% in 15 months. Like, what the fuck? How do they do that? So Dropbox created a double referral program. Basically, users like you and me pay Dropbox for storage space. If you want to understand more about storage costs and how that works, I have an episode on that. Listen to the hidden cost of cat videos episode. Back to Dropbox. So the Dropbox team knows that people want storage space because users pay them for it. That is their business model. Also, Dropbox knows that people like free stuff. This is not a mystery. So the Dropbox team created an incentive scheme whereby if I were a Dropbox user and I invited a friend, they would get 16 gigabytes of free storage space, and I would also get 16 gigabytes of free storage space. And yes, there are costs associated with this because the Dropbox team have their own server costs. But as we just learned from Wycliffe, you have to invest some money and effort if you want to grow. The question is, which is the cheapest and most effective way to do so? The Dropbox team calculated how much it would cost them to give away 32 gigabytes of storage space versus what it would cost in terms of advertising to get just one user. Do you follow the maths here? The Dropbox team would give 16 gigabytes to me as a user to invite you, and then it would give 16 gigabytes to you to accept the invitation. So that basically makes it 32 gigabytes per new person. So Dropbox has to pay 32 gigabytes in space to get a new person to use their product, which makes the calculation very simple. They're thinking, what is our cloud cost? How much do we pay our server engineers? And then what does it cost in advertising spend to attract one user? Which one of these is cheaper? In their case, giving away 32 gigabytes was cheaper, so they decided to go do that. Now, I've just been talking to you about server costs, but growth hacking is a type of marketing, so what on earth is going on? Well, a growth hacking effort is always done by a multi-disciplinary team because it must include people who understand marketing and promotion and people who know the product intimately and can change it. Also, these people need to be able to speak a common language so they understand each other. A growth hacking team will often involve a product manager, a designer, a community manager, engineers, someone with a marketing or a PR background, and maybe a data scientist. Sometimes there will be a person called growth hacker or product marketer on that team, but not necessarily. Often user growth is just on the agenda of the product manager, and that is a key metric that they set. Let's pause for a minute here and think about traditional marketing. Traditional marketing is outside facing. It's basically all the stuff that you see when you're out. It's billboards, it's adverts in newspapers, it's TV. It's articles organized by public relations officers in magazines. Traditional marketing is not linked to the product at all. Think of Don Draper in Mad Men. If he was running a campaign for Mercedes, would he have gone to sit in the same room as the engineers? No, he wouldn't even know who the engineers are. Don Draper would be drinking a martini and seducing somebody in between coming up with ideas. I used to work in the media in London, and that's how I spent most of my time. Hang on, that was great. Will they take me back? Anyway, back to growth hacking. Growth hacking is different from marketing because it looks at the inside of the product and adjusts it to grow users and revenue. In tech product, marketing is literally baked into the product from the start. For example, in Dropbox, the double referral program was on their homepage. Everybody who came to their homepage knew about it. You know, another interesting point is that when growth hacking works at its best, that's when things go viral. And when people are sharing a product by themselves, or when people are sharing an app amongst their friends, that's when the media starts picking it up too. This is why it's important for PR people to be involved with what's happening in growth hacking. And listen, this makes sense. If something is going viral, then journalists want to write about it. If journalists write about it, it makes the product go even more viral. We hear about apps or games going viral periodically. But the key lesson of today is that things rarely go viral just by themselves, even if they are super brilliant. Remember, even Wycliffe has to think about marketing. In tech companies, if you want to make an app go viral, you will have to have a growth hacking team who are literally working their little butts off and experimenting until they reach the viral effect. And this is what Sean Ellis writes about in his book, Hacking Growth. So I mentioned this book in the episode, and I know I keep on mentioning books that I've read and that I recommend. And that means that you keep asking me about my book recommendations. And I'm very flattered. So to help you, because I love you and I want to help you get smarter, I've created my recommended reading list on various aspects of tech. And all of these books are aimed at non-techies. All the books on my recommended list are those that you can understand and they aren't jargon-filled nonsense. So to get my recommended reading list, just go to techfornontechies.co/reading list or check out the link in the show notes. That's techfornontechies.co/reading list, and literally you can get my reading list from there. And if you're loving what you're learning, because who wouldn't? Come and join us as a member at Tech for Non-Techies. Our membership is your guide in the jargon-filled world of tech. We have live sessions and masterclasses with expert teachers. You also get coaching sessions with me and learning notes on key aspects of technology like AI, product management, and the app economy. Our members are some really smart people. They include alumni of Harvard, Oxford, and obviously the University of Chicago, people who are buying companies, building businesses, and leading innovation. This is pretty epic, and I'm such a proud mama. If you want to join us, check us out at techfornontechies.co/membership, and the link is in the show notes. That's it for now, smart people. I've got a pool to get to, and I'll speak to you next week. Ciao.